indicated that the MEC was on his way, and at parts as had indicated that they would be joining. So thank you for pausing as I had requested. MEC, you are most welcome. We had received your apology as well as the very bad news, the apology of the HOD, but we're going to give you your time to make your remarks as it were. You are welcome. Over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Chair. Let me greet the Portfolio Committee, the administration, and thank you for understanding our situation. We saw that there was something in Linfield this morning that we had to attend briefly. The team has already understand that the Jinkos and CFO are here with the collective just to lead. We've just heard this morning that HOD has lost his brother, so it's something that we understand. Chair, I'm not going to attend because the CFO has started, but from an outlook and from a face value, we are delighted that there's been a vote of confidence to this department, even by national, by affording us more, some of the allocation. It is as a result of what they know and have envisaged in terms of the expenditure pattern of the province of KwaZulu-Natal. I'm sure as well the CFO is going to expatiate that at the level of outlook, you'll think that this money is adequate to do a lot of things. But the reality, as a result of global warmings, you'll find that the road that we have just done, unfortunately, in some instances, you still have to go back. The issue of maintenance is something that we are currently prioritizing, and we want to change in a real context the province of KwaZulu-Natal into a construction site. We've managed to do that, but unfortunately for us, there is a new thing that you just have to highlight to the finance. I know it's not one of your scope, that if you go closer, there is a new tendency of big companies not finishing their projects and some of them even quitting in the process. So we are going to give you the presentation which give us a nice picture, but there are those issues. Other than that, I think the support that is coming from this portfolio committee and the portfolio committee responsible for transport is amazing. I must just say that you have played that extensive overall oversight. It is gladly assisting us. We have improved, Chair. Over the last 10 years, we've been struggling when it comes to the audit findings. Only last financial year, we've received unqualified audit, indeed, with findings. But for us, it's a serious finding. We've been getting a lot of qualification, and Honorable Dex is laughing at us, but we've turned the corner. I must just say that, hasten to say that we have turned the corner and we are going to managers from now onwards. As you know that we are amongst those biggest infrastructure department. As we do our processes, there will be always regularities, because if I could just go to deeper details, there were those projects as part of poverty alleviation, and according to Auditor General, they saw it that it's not how it must be done, and we had to do differently. There is an ongoing systematic approach that we are deliberating with provincial treasurer, national treasurer, and AG, where we're to piggyback in the departments COCTA and IDT, and I'm sure that issue is coming to an end, because there is that reference points, and where we are seated, we are still okay. So I think we are fine. On a lighter note, the chair that I'm seated it is Honorable Dex's chair, so he's just gazing at me while I'm presenting. There's no lecture. Thank you so much, Chair, for taking this opportunity.
No, thank you so much, MEC. We really appreciate. We understand also in the schedule, so I appreciate your presence. We had indicated earlier that we do not know what is happening. The majority of the members are sick. They've got flu, and so you will bear with us, really. But the CFO had already started the presentation, so would then allow you, CFO, to continue with the presentation. But thank you so much, Honorable MSC.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, if I then move over to slide number 5, what I would like to highlight is that for the 25-26 financial year, we only received that allocation for a EPWP grant, and over the MTEF, we are then expecting that we will get a allocation from National because they give us on the year of the allocation. On slide number 6, Honorable Chair, we would like to confirm that the department has conformed to our top priorities, which are aligned to our provincial specific priorities, transport specific priorities, and departmental specific priorities. I will then jump over, Honorable Chairperson, to slide number 8, where we then present a summary of our budget by program, where in the 25-26 financial year, Program 1 received an allocation of 960 million rand. Program 2, Transport Infrastructure, 9.2 billion rand. Transport Operation received an allocation of 2.1 billion rand. Transport Regulation received an allocation of 1.3 billion rand. And community-based programs received an allocation of 52 million rand. This then grows in the 26-27 financial year to the administration increases to just over 1 billion rand. Transport infrastructure then reduces to 8.5 billion rand because of the once-off allocation that we have received in the current financial year of 900 million. We are then going back to what we currently had with an increase of that 4.5%, hence the decrease. Transport operation goes to 2.1 billion rand with a slight decrease there. Transport regulation goes to 1.4 billion rand. And community-based program increases to 55 million rand. In the 27-28 financial year, administration goes to 1.045 billion rand. Transport infrastructure increases to 8.8 billion rand. Transport operation goes to 2.4 billion rand. Transport regulation goes to 1.5 billion rand. And our community-based programs increases to 57 million rand. Honorable Chair, I will then go over to slide number 10. I will take my definition as known in terms of our programs. Under administration, we then get a further breakdown in terms of our sub-programs, where the Office of the MEC received 22 million rand, Management received 22 million rand, Corporate Support 870 million rand, and Departmental Strategy is 44 million rand. Honorable Chair, I would like to highlight that corporate support is where we have our admin support, our fleet services, our HR services, our IT services. Hence, their budget is the biggest chunk when you look at other sub-programs that are in there. Then in the 26-27 financial year, we received an increase for Office of the MEC of 23 million rand. Management increases to 23 million rand as well. Corporate support increases to 904 million rand, and departmental strategy increases to 48 million rand. In the 27-28, Office of the MEC is allocated 25 million rand, Management 24 million rand, Corporate support 945 million rand, and departmental strategy goes to 50 million rand. In these, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, for Program 1, we are again confirming that we will be implementing our IT-related projects in terms of our priorities. We will be building our capacity through our internal and external programs in terms of our budget. We are hopeful that through a realignment, our organizational structure might finally be approved. Hence, we've catered for that as well. In terms of this program, where we have also looked at our security measures to ensure that they're enhanced, and also a maintenance and construction of departmental buildings that we currently have to ensure that those are well maintained. I will then go over to slide number 12, which is a brief description of our Program 2 under Transport Infrastructure, where we mainly deal with the construction and maintenance of our provincial road infrastructure. And this is where a bulk, or about 80% of the budget, is sitting in terms of the department. On slide number 13, we then have a breakdown in terms of our sub-program, where program support infrastructure gets an allocation of 927 million rand. Infrastructure planning gets an allocation of 41 million rand. Infrastructure design, 61 million rand. Our construction directorate gets an allocation of 3.8 billion rand, and maintenance gets an allocation of 4.3 billion rand. In the 26-27 financial year, these slightly increased to 970 million rand for transport infrastructure. Support infrastructure planning gets 43 million rand, infrastructure design gets 63 million rand, and construction decreases to 3.2 billion rand. Maintenance also takes a slight knock to 4.2 billion rand as a result of what I'd explained earlier on, that our budget actually decreases instead of increasing when you look at our allocation. In the 27-28 financial year, we then get an allocation of just over 1 billion rand for program support infrastructure, 45 million rand for infrastructure planning, 66 million rand for infrastructure design, 3.4 billion rand for construction, and maintenance remains at 4.2 billion rand. Maybe what might be important to highlight, Honorable Chair, is that when you look at other programs, in terms of the slight increases that are there, it's because in the main you have employees that are in there, which is then catered for the cost of living adjustment, which was that 4.5% and 1.5% I had indicated earlier on. So that's why you would then find these increases in our non-core sub-programs. We would then move on to slide number 14, where we are confirming that we have invested in our road network. We have got projects that are related to our Sihamba Sonke programs, which part of it is funded by our provincial road maintenance grant. We also have our allocation of the EPWP grant, which funds some of these programs as well. I will then go over to slide number 15, where we then do a brief description in terms of our maintenance programs. I will not read those in detail. I will take them as read by the members. And so on slide number 16, where we've got a brief description in terms of our programs that fall under our program 2. I will then jump over to slide number 17, where we have showed our infrastructure estimates by category, where we are then showing that in terms of existing infrastructure assets, we have an allocated budget of 5.9 billion rand, of which 2.5 is going to our maintenance and repairs, which is our current activities. 1.1 billion rand is going over to our upgrades as our capital activities, and 2.2 billion rand is going to the refurbishment and rehabilitation of our capital projects. Honorable Chair and honorable members, I would like to highlight on this one again that in this we mainly deal with our issues of potholes, where we do a light rehabilitation and heavy rehabilitation to prolong the lives of our roads. Hence, we've also increased the allocation when it comes to this one so that we can try and improve our road network and try and close as many potholes as possible with the limited resources that we have. We then have a new infrastructure allocation of 450 million rand for any new access roads that we might be constructing and any other new infrastructure assets that we might be building as a department. We then have an allocation of 3.4 million rand under infrastructure leases, where we might be leasing land from your SANRAL and our road reserves. And we also have then 2.4 million rand, which is for non-infrastructure, which in the main pays for our salaries and any other maintenance-related activities like your fleet services under this program, which then takes it to a total of 8.7 billion rand, where we have then broken it down. Honorable Chairperson, I do know that under these as well, when you look at the letter that was received, there was a request in terms of allocations. We would like to state that if further details are requested in terms of our projects, it's just that it was a 96-page report, and it can be emailed to our members if they want to get then the details of the roads that we will be undertaking in line with our Table B5 when it comes to this one. Honorable Chairperson, I will then like to highlight that in the 26-27 financial year, this allocation then decreases. I will not go over the independent allocations, and in the 27 financial year, it increases to 8.4 billion rand, to 8.4 billion rand again in the 27-28 financial year. In slide number 18, we have gone through the number of projects that we will be doing per region. Honorable Chairperson, I will take this as read again by the members in terms of the information that is pertained for the number of projects under our head office, which were 146. Durban region, we had 74 projects. Empangeni region, 99 projects. Head office, 25 projects. And under IDT, we currently have 8 projects that are running. Honorable Chair, again, when you go over to slide number 19, I will take the figures as read, but I would like to highlight that under the Ladysmith region, we have 88 projects that have been planned. Pietermaritzburg region, 93 projects that have been planned, and under our EPWP, we have 4 projects that have been planned, and under our rehabilitation, we have 113 projects that have been planned. On slide number 20, I would then like to go over to our projects per district, where the Amatuba district has been allocated a maintenance budget of 185 million rand, rehabilitation budget of 24 million rand, and upgrades for 71 million rand. Herugwala has been allocated a maintenance budget of 354 million rand, rehabilitation budget of 355 million rand, and upgrades a total of 215 million rand. Ilembe has been allocated a budget of 188 million rand for maintenance, 115 million rand for rehabilitation, and 97 million rand for upgrades. King Cetshwayo districts, 229 million rand for maintenance, 415 million rand for rehabilitation, and 5 million rand for upgrades. Ugu districts, 224 million rand for maintenance, 267 for rehabilitation, and 108 for our upgrades. Umgungundlovu district, 270 million rand for maintenance, 213 million rand for rehabilitation, and 108 million rand for our upgrades. Umkhanyakude district, 167 million rand for maintenance, 80 million rand for rehabilitation, and 4 million rand for our upgrades. Umzinyathi district, 198 million rand for our maintenance, 71 million rand for rehabilitation, and 132 million rand for our upgrades. Utugela district, 272 million rand for maintenance, 156 million rand for rehabilitation, and 24 million rand for our upgrades. And finally, our Zululand district has been allocated a 238 million rand for maintenance, 435 million rand for rehabilitation, and 273 million rand for our upgrades. I will then move over to our program 3, which is on slide number 21, which then deals with our transportation programs, where you would find our subsidized services and learner transport. Where on slide number 22, we then show our allocation per program, per sub-program, where program support operations received an allocation of 69 million rand, public transport services, where we have our subsidized transport and learner transport services at just over 2 billion rand, transport safety and compliance, 117 million rand. This then goes up in the 2026-27 financial year, where program support receives 79 million rand. Our public transport services decrease to 1.9 billion rand. And the reason for this decrease, honorable members, is that previously, in terms of our allocation for learner transport, we would receive around about 550 million rand to sustain the program for the financial year. But over the last financial year and moving forward over the MTEF, this has been cut by half, by almost 250 million rand. So hence you would see a decrease then from the 25-26 financial year to the 26-27 financial year because of that decrease. However, I would like to note that there has been a slight allocation that we've received from National, where they've given us 50 million rand in the current financial year, and they will be allocating 60 million rand in the next financial year to assist with learner transport services that have been cut, to try and assist with the funding that we have been saying is a shortfall for the department, and we will not be in the position to be able to sustain it if they don't give us additional funding. In the 27-28 financial year, we then received 106 million rand for program support operations, 2.1 billion rand for public transport services, and 151 million rand for our transport safety and compliance sub-program. Honorable Chair, I will then skip over our slide number 23, which gives a description in terms of what gets done and the figures. Slide number 24 is a description again in terms of the programs that we are running under our transport operations. And slide number 25 is then a breakdown in terms of our conditional grant and allocation for learner transport, where for the public transport operations grant in the 25-26 financial year, we will receive 1.4 billion rand, and we will receive 343 million rand for learner transport services. In the 26-27 financial year, we will receive 1.5 billion rand for our public transport operations grant and 366 million rand for learner transport services. And in the outer year, we will then receive 1.6 billion rand for our public transport operations grant and 483 million rand for learner transport services. I will then go over to slide number 26, where we then start with our program 4. Which is our transport regulation, which also deals with the administration of our transportation services for your licensing, as well as our law enforcement. And on this program, on slide number 27, we then have a breakdown where under program support regulations, we have an allocation of 13 million rand, transport administration and licensing, 320 million rand, operator licenses and permits, 88 million rand, and our law enforcement, 969 million rand. In the 26-27 financial year, this increases to 13 million rand for our program support regulation, 335 million rand for transport administration and licensing, 92 million rand for our operator licenses and permits, and just over 1 billion rand for our law enforcement. In the 27-28 financial year, we then increase this allocation again to 14 million rand for our program support regulations, 350 million rands for transport administration and licenses. Operator licenses and permits goes up to 96 million rand, and 1.059 billion rand goes over to our law enforcement. Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members, on slide number 28, we give a description in terms of our programs and the programs that we run under this, where we are highlighting that this is where we then house our provincial roads regulatory entity, where we issue our permits, our driver license testing centers, and our law enforcement. I will then go over to slide number 29, where we then get onto our community-based program, which is our last program. Where this consists of 4 sub-programs, and these in the main deal with the implementation and strategies that we develop to empower communities and contractors. On slide number 30, we then get a breakdown in terms of our sub-program, where 22 million rand has been allocated to community support-based programs, 1 million rand goes to community development, innovation and empowerment goes to 21 million rand, and EPWP receives an allocation of 8 million rand. I know, honorable members, that when we see these numbers, we might think that that might be a bit low, but this is where then the strategies are formulated, but the actual implementation of these programs is under program 2, where the actual work is done. Hence, you would find that this is low when you look at it in terms of budget, because this is where mainly the planning gets to happen. In the 26-27 financial year, we have an allocation that increases to 23 million rand for program support, 1.3 million rand for community development, 22 million rand for innovation and empowerment, and 8.5 million rand for EPWP coordination. And in the outer year, this again increases to 24 million rand for program support, 1.3 million rand for community development, 23 million rand for innovation and empowerment, and 8.9 million rand for our EPWP coordination and monitoring. Honorable Chair, I would then go over to slide number 32, which is then a summary of our conditional grants. It is also the same in terms of what we had shown in slide number 2 or 3 in the front of the presentation, so I won't go over it again because it's just a breakdown of our conditional grants. I will then jump to slide number 35, where we get on to then our departmental receipts in terms of revenue collection for the department, where in the 25-26 financial year, we are anticipating to collect 2.689 billion rand, which increases to 2.799 billion rand in the 26-27 financial year, and 2.925 billion rand in the 27-28 financial year. In the main, where we collect a bulk of our budget through the licensing of our vehicles, it is where we're anticipating to collect 2.354 billion rand in the 25-26 financial year. Under sale of goods and services, where we usually do our learner license bookings and driver license bookings, we are anticipating to collect 159 million rand. On our traffic fines, we're anticipating to collect 172 million rand. Interest, we're anticipating to collect 131 million rand. Under the sale of capital assets, where we usually auction off our motor vehicles in our plant, and under redundant equipment, we're anticipating to collect 1.8 million rand. And on our debtors, we're anticipating that we will collect 2.4 million rand, which lies under our transaction in financial assets and liabilities. In the 26-27 financial year, motor vehicle licenses we're anticipating to increase to 2.4 billion rand. 170 million rand for our goods and services, 175 million rand for fines, penalties and forfeits, 138,000 for interest, 1.9 million for the sale of capital assets, and 2.5 million rand for the collection of our debts. In the outer year, we are anticipating an increase again of 2.5 billion rand for the collection of motor vehicle licenses, 178 million rand for the collection on sale of goods and services, 183 million rand on our traffic fines, 144,000 on interest, just over 2 million rand on the sale of capital assets, and 2.6 million rand on the collection of our debts. Honorable members, I would also like to highlight that I think in the last 2 or 3 financial years, we have not increased our fee for our motor licenses so that we can be in par with other provinces, because when an exercise was done, it was found that KZN was the highest in terms of AMA licenses. Hence, you would find that your heavy motor vehicle and your abnormal motor vehicles would be registered in other provinces. So in trying to bring that business back to the province, we have not increased our motor vehicle licenses over the last 3 financial years, and we're hoping we will do so up until we are at level with other provinces. Honorable Chair, we then have descriptions in terms of the various items that are there, which I will then take read as the honorable members, and this then brings me to the end of the presentation for the 25-26 MTEF budget. Thank you.
No, thank you so much, CFO. We really appreciate. We will then open to the honorable members. I know there is Honorable de Klerk, Honorable Naya, Honorable. Okay, we would have those 2. We'll check also if there are any members online that might want to have a bite. Honorable de Klerk.
There we go. I'm just 2 aspects which I also put to Treasury. Firstly, we are here for the budget today. I would like to know what was the motivation and decision to, or how did you deal with the fact that there is an unfunded mandate on the salaries, the wage agreement? It's not your fault, I understand that, but I would imagine if I sit in a budget and I see that I have a problem carry through from previous years and the current year where the wage agreement is more than anticipated, that I will then have to cut on certain other programs so that that fixed expenditure that will be fixed every month is covered. Because if you don't do that, it will just get worse and worse and worse, because it is getting worse because of prior years' similar problem. So my question is this: did you cut on some of your other programs so that you can actually deal with it efficiently? Or did you do the following? Say to yourself, there is vacant posts. So what we will do is we'll just not fill that vacant posts, and then we can utilize that money as savings to cover the shortfall in the wage agreement. So embedded in that is, please also explain to us just how many of these vacant posts are you going to fill? Seeing that what I've said, it seems to me from your budget that that is what you're trying to use, together with some hope that monies will come from somewhere, either national or provincial. We were told that there is no monies provincially to cover that, and it seems also there's no monies from national. So that if you didn't budget properly, the only way will be to hope, to live in hope, that, or to manipulate it, if I can put it like that, the process by not filling the post, which have a consequence, because if you don't fill the post, you will have a problem in rolling out your programs efficiently and effectively. And it will manifest, like in what I see, is that there is, as was stated by yourselves, that there is many programs unfinished. How do you deal with that through your budget? Does your budget speak to those projects that companies, as you stated, and so on, hasn't finished? I don't see it in your budget. Maybe if you can answer that. Thank you.
Honorable Nai?
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to colleagues in the department. My first question, by 2027-2028, there is almost R1 billion in reduction of the PRMG funding. How does the department plan to still maintain service delivery given this reduction in the funding? My second question, given that there's 341 million rand budgeted for learner transport in 2025-2026, how is the department going to ensure cost efficiency and oversight over the 85 contracts across the 12 districts? I've got more questions, Chair, but we'll give other members an opportunity and come back to me if there is.
No, you can.
Can I proceed?
Yes, please.
All right. So also 70% of the total budget is allocated to Program 2, which is transport infrastructure. I want to find out what percentage of this is specifically ring-fenced to maintenance versus new construction, and how, if you are tracking this, how are you tracking this? Then the next question is related to your sources of revenue. Now, we know sources like your fines, sale of assets, and recoveries from staff debts are very unpredictable sources of income or sources of revenue. How does the department plan to reduce the reliance on these sources to ensure revenue stability in the department? And my final question, what portion of the infrastructure budget is allocated to prevention versus reactive maintenance? And that's your infrastructure service delivery aspect. Thanks, Chair.
All right, I think we've noted those. Honourable members, any other takers on the questions or comments? Of course, even at the level of the online, no one. Okay. All right. Okay. HOD, of course, Honourable MEC, if there's anything you want to, you are, of course, you are welcome.
No, thank you so much, Chair, for affording us this opportunity, and thank you for the questions that are raised by members, both Honourable de Klerk and Honourable Naya. I'm just going to outline the principles that the wage gap bill remains a problem concept and a thorny matter for South African at large, and it remains as such. And the Department of Transport, as you understand, that we also rely upon the strength. What will be appropriated by this House at this point in time is 157 billion. So we are just taking from that process upwards and increase. That is why we've outlined earlier on that if you see 13.8, you will think that there is a decrease, but in real field, which is why we're outlining on the issue of scholar transport, for instance. We started on the deficiency, Honourable Chair, I think I must just highlight. So unfortunately, which is why I thought the CFO was going to also elucidate the point that there is no way that out of this contract that you can stop in the middle of the year, because the education system will collapse in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. As we speak, we are saying that the matriculants have done a sterling job. It's the reality that it means that there is a shortfall from the Department of Transport. Even as we spend on our infrastructure, we must always set aside subconsciously that it is how we must supplement. It's a very tricky and a dicey exercise that we do on a year-to-year basis, which is why last year 3 MECs met, DOT, Treasury and Education, because we can't proceed and continue like that. But understanding the caring government and the Bill of Rights, it's something that you cannot just say that we are cutting. It means that if education give you this amount, you must proceed and take that into cognizance. So it's something that I must highlight. I thought the CFO on slide dealt with the issue of budgets. On slide 17, it dealt with, on slide 3, we dealt with the budget of maintenance. You must set aside the maintenance budget, and it has an indication that unfortunately what I referred earlier on this project, you'll find that because of the growth trajectory that is also taking place, Honourable Chair, you'll find that if there is a serious traffic on a certain area, you'll find the road that is supposed to be lasting us probably 15 years, then because of traffic and the demand, it will then decrease up to 10 years. And unfortunately, if you have not finished certain project, it means that there will be demand. So we are balancing almost all those skewed projects. And I'm sure when it comes to the developmental and the design setting, DDG Nkosi is also going to come with structure on a regular basis, but I was just highlighting the principles. Probably then the CFO is also going to come. How are we going to balance? Because the vacancy, these departments, and we want to win the situation. I don't know, Honorable Naya is saying over the over-reliance on service. I don't know whether she also meant the issue of the consultants. This department has designed many new roads. So I think I must also highlight and be emphatic on the point that we in-house, for the first time, that we almost have 13 engineers that are Africans. It's something that is That was not done in the past, but we do have the department that has the technical capacity in assisting. We are able to design the road, we are able to design the bridge, we are able even on the issue of potholes. That is why we procured the machinery or the trucks that are going to be, you will see it on the 25th in the morning before we present our budget. Something is going to be done here at Umsunduzi. We'll be fixing potholes. It's unfortunately already the strength, as we are servicing 34,000 kilometers in terms of circumference. There are many roads that have been dilapidated and that we must deal and all those things. So I thought I should highlight those, Chair, before I allow the team that was going to come.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. To answer Honourable de Klerk, yes, there are challenges in terms of the salary wage bill, but luckily enough as a department, as the Honourable MEC has highlighted, we have had a challenge in terms of our structure, so we are still stuck with the 2008 structure. And whilst we were in talks with the DPSA and the Provincial Treasury in terms of ensuring that our structure aligns with what we are currently facing as a department, we have had to cater for the full structure and prove to Provincial Treasury and DPSA that we will have the budget. So in terms of the increases, when you look at the numbers, we were looking to fill an additional 2,000 posts from the 2008 structure so that it meets the requirements that we have today. So with that, we have been able to then cushion the inflationary increases. But again, that only becomes temporal for now. And you can imagine that if in future we are then allowed to fill all of those posts, we might be in the same hole as your Department of Education and Department of Health, depending on how we then deal with filling those posts. Do we then not fill them and risk not being able to provide the services fully? Or do we then fill them and then risk overspending on the compensation of employees? So I think those are some of the most difficult decisions that we have to take. Similarly to the one for Elena Transport, as the Honourable MEC has highlighted, do you then deal with cutting services and risking a lot of children not going to school, or do you continue and try and get money somewhere else where we've tried to save under cost-cutting measures? So unfortunately, these are just some of the balances that we have to deal with. But luckily enough, just for now, we are lucky because we had to set aside then that funding so that we can be able to prove that we can be able to fill our new structure. We are anticipating in the next financial year to fill at least 1,000 posts, should we be allowed to fill those posts. But again, it takes a balancing act so that we don't overcommit in terms of our compensation of employees. Honourable de Klerk, you have also raised a very important point in terms of our failing projects. Maybe just to give a brief history, in the last 5 or 6 financial years, we had noticed that our lower grades from your grade 1 to about grade 6, they were failing in terms of projects that they were given. So what we then decided to do was, we said, let us look at then the higher grades, which we then assumed would have the capacity from your grade 7 to grade 9. Hence, we started a program in terms of our panels where we were saying we are going to advertise grade 7, 8, and 9 for your maintenance and your upgrade of your roads and your rehabilitation of roads, with the hope that we would get projects to be finished on time. Because the effect that this has when the projects fail is that if you had planned an estimated budget of 100 million rand and the project fails, it means when you appoint the next contractor, you're probably looking at double at what you would have done in the last 3 financial years, which again, you are trying to balance it out. But unfortunately for the department, it looks again like the bigger grades that we were hoping would perform are now also failing us. You have companies that are very big that are sitting at grade 9. You would award them a tender of 500 million rand and they're failing to establish. But in having seen this as a department, we have said, let us be proactive and go to CIDP and say to CIDP, look, as a department, we have a challenge because we've set out our standards to say we want a minimum of these teams, we want a minimum of these requirements in terms of their qualification for your engineers. This is the minimum number of experience that we want in terms of completed projects, so that we ensure that we get the best that we can out of these contractors. They would give us the document, you would do the SCM process, and they would all be fine. But come time for implementation, none of them can get onto site, and they're crying of financial difficulties, which then means that somewhere along the line, there is a problem that we have, I would not say as a department, but maybe in the assessment of these grades on how they would then move from grade 1 to grade 9, but not have the financial muscle to be able to just establish, which then causes problems in the department. We have seen this, we have noted it, and we are taking steps in trying to make sure that we improve and we maybe get the answers that would assist us, because you can name by hand the number of contractors that will be performing when it comes to these. But when you have a group of 137 and only 10 are performing, then it shows that there's a serious problem that we're going to be facing in terms of implementing our projects. So this is a challenge again when it comes to this, and we are trying by all means not to have large numbers of variations that are going to be unnecessary, that are then eating in future budgets of programs or projects that would have been supposed to have been completed 2, 3, 4 years ago that are still ongoing because of these failures. But again, we're trying to balance it out to ensure that this number doesn't have programs or projects that would have been supposed to have been completed 2, 3, 4 years ago that are still ongoing because of these failures. But again, we're trying to balance it out to ensure that this number doesn't grow and we don't have a large number of. I think when I look at the question that was asked by Honorable Nia, you have a question that says, how are we then planning on making sure that we stabilize our revenue? One of the things that we've looked at is trying to get back the vehicles that we've lost by us not increasing our licenses. So in getting back the number of trucks that have moved to your Mpumalanga, to your Free State, to your Gauteng because of the lower rates, we're hoping that they would come back and register with the DOT. Hence, where our collection, if we had to go back about 2 or 3 years ago, you would see that we were collecting around about 30 to 60 million rand. In the current financial year, we're happy to say we've increased that by almost 100 million rand, where we are now actively going out, and in our roadblocks, we've purchased vehicles which are called, we're happy to say we've increased that by almost 100 million rand, where we are now actively going out, and in our roadblocks, which are then able to see from far away to say when that vehicle comes, the driver or the vehicle has fines of about 2,000 rand or 3,000 rand, we're able to then pull you off the road as you approach, as you see the gantries that are along the N3. So those are some of the initiatives that we've taken a look at as a department to say, this is what we want to do to stabilize our love for that revenue to be retained within the province. But unfortunately, all of it goes to national and contributes to the national fiscus, which then gets allocated back to departments. But that is, in the nutshell, what we are trying to do in trying to stabilize of our budget for preventative maintenance. MEC has highlighted that the figures that are there are on slide number 17 in terms of our splits. And yes, I would just like to end it there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure if there is any follow-ups. Honorable Nai? I'm just enjoying seeing black excellence. You see, MEC, I'm looking at your team, you know, and the amount of budget you are handling. It's iyakhulula la enhlizweni ngaphakathi. Honorable Nai?
Thanks, Chair. Thank you for those answers. Just a little bit more clarity on the learner transport. What my question really was related to was not whether we're going to stop any learner transport, but what oversight measures have you put in place that are in place, are performing as they should, and like where you find that they are not following the rules or overloading or not compliant in some way, what measures are you taking in that instance? And just one additional question, if you may indulge me, Chair. When it comes to pothole claims from residents in this province, what is your turnaround time? Thanks, Chair.
No, thank you so much. Probably to expatiate also on your first question, those that have abandoned site, the contractors, what measures are in place, like blacklisting or anything related to that? Because when they affect or impact your program in that manner, there should be consequences down the road. It cannot just be that they are left. I mean, they are allowed to just leave site and not finish projects and so forth. Any other? I'm checking honorable members. So this will be the last round of. I mean, they are allowed to just leave site and not finish projects and so forth. Any other?
Fines have been imposed and certain contracts have been cancelled for non-compliance in the upkeep of those vehicles. So we do have a monitoring firm that looks at those and ensures that the service providers are compliant in terms of our minimum requirements. In terms of the turnaround for our pothole claims, unfortunately, Honourable Chair, I don't have the exact answer for now, but can we kindly request that we provide a report to an honourable member so that we are able to give accurate figures and not thumbsuck our numbers. When it comes to the projects that are failing, Honourable Chair, we have taken a hard stance as a PAC and under the unit of ODDG Nkosi to say we have gone back to our projects that we've awarded, which we have deemed as major projects, and we've said, let's take a look at the last 12 months of those that were awarded and look at their progress. And on the ones that are failing, we have put together a list of around about 10 contractors that have not either established or have failed after establishment to do those projects. And we are in the process of following a termination process where those companies will be blacklisted. But as initially highlighted, it may not just be a solution to blacklist everyone without finding out the root cause of what is causing them to fail. Hence, we are also looking at that as well, while we are being strict in making sure that for non-performers, we terminate as a department, but also try and find more solutions in making sure that the roads get complete and they're not left long-standing where they are not complete, which might give rise to a public unhappiness and protest. Thank you.
Can I come in just briefly,
Okay.
Chair? That
Yes.
Another measure that we have taken is that we are going to have a meeting with CITB, because what the CFO is clarifying is that at the level of the professional board responsible for identifying a company with CITB 8 and 9 in particular, we rely upon the strength of the CITB. They will tell us that this holding company in the floating account probably have 20 million. It is only them who can have an access to this capacity. Unfortunately, there is a fraudulent actualization of identifying that you can even grow not organic. You'll find that a company is CITB 8 on paper. Then when it comes to the realistic value, they don't have those, which is why I just wanted to DDG Nkosi to highlight in a minute, then so that we know that we have covered all those, the length and breadth.
Yeah, no, thank you, Honorable Chairperson and members. Indeed, it is a huge challenge. Quite a few projects that are failing. It is as a result of our companies that are awarded work. You expect them to start on site. It takes them months to hit the ground. As you start engaging them through the engineer, you get shocking news. A grade 9 approaching another grade 9 to assist him in doing the work. Those are the kinds of issues we are faced with. In some instances, they don't agree. Ultimately, the project is terminated. That's the predicament we are faced with at this point in time. Maybe to add on UCFO's input on the terminated projects, what we normally do, because each and every project or contract, we do have what we call performance guarantees. As a department, we put measures in place to recover from those performance guarantees. At the same time as the contract claims month in, month out, we take what we call a retention, which is normally 10%. That stays within the department. If they failed, then we keep that as a department. But lastly, as an infrastructure unit, what we have done, we are meeting contractors together with those PSPs, so that come the end of the financial year, we produce a performance report for both the professional engineer as well as the contractor, so that will work against them in future if they look for work in the department. We intention was to do those every quarter, but unfortunately we've landed with every 6 months. We need to do that performance assessment. We call those meetings quarterly reviews, where review contractors' performance, and thereafter we produce a report on the performance of an engineer as well as the contractor. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Tex.
Yeah, thank you, Chairperson. I just want to deviate a little bit here. I want to ask the Honorable Commander Duma, the MEC, was that issue of the bicycle license, was that the April Fool's joke about the licensing for motorbikes? No, not motorbikes, bicycles. Not motorbikes. Bicycles should will be now charged a licensing fee. So I was assuming perhaps it's a April Fool's joke that about the bicycle license. That's the one first thing. Then, you know, I think I have to make comment on this here because I will fail in my duty as a member of Umkhonto weSizwe, which stands for the total economic emancipation of African people in this country. If I don't speak on this matter that was raised last by the last two speakers, the issue about this grade 9 contractors, I assume that they are generally black companies, those, and in particularly African companies. Now, we need to ask ourselves, why is that the case? And I do not think that we should solely put the blame on them where they've reached 9 and they then cannot do the project, complete the project. We perhaps need to ask ourselves, we as a department, we as the government, provincial government, that we not or perhaps also fail them along the way. And what can we do to actually assist them? Because we need to assist them, we need to build them. There must be a way where we can make an intervention. Because I would not like to see a situation where we're reversing the gains that was made under previous, especially under former MEC Uzbu Ndebele. We have made great strides in empowering African business people in this country. You could have seen under MEC Uzbu Ndebele that black people have arrived in this province. We could see there is black people are here. We are taking control of certain sectors of this economy. And then later on, as we saw, there was we're going a bit backwards. Now, the Honorable MEC is saying that, look, we are going to, he keeps on speaking about the construction, and I'm going to raise it again in my debate, when the debate starts, where KZN is a construction site. And I've asked the MEC, construction site to whose benefit? Because I'm very observant about those things. I travel on the roads and I see, and I can see mainly who's benefiting out of that. So when we say we want to make it a construction site, it's fine and good, but does African people benefit? Or are we just becoming a cheap labor on those construction sites? Perhaps we must look at previous programs that was run during Zbu and Comrade Zweli's era, where we used to actually, even these big grade 9 companies, as black owned, we used to partner them off with you big established companies when we issue these projects, that they go in together. Perhaps we need to look at those kind of programs to try and assist and really capacitate them, where we say, well, you grade 9, but we're going to award this grade 9 contract, you with a company that have historically been benefiting and have a historic advantage. And so that these projects do not fail, instead of saying we will not keep them anymore because they are failing to the project. But we must find a way, because basically that's why I'm here in this legislature, for the upliftment and advancement of African people in this province. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable MEC.
Definitely, the bicycle license was an April's Fool thing, so the department does not have that thing. We can just assure you that if you've got a bike, no one is going to issue a license, or we're not just going to stop you on the road as well. But there is a new transition where we are going towards a cashless system. As you know, that we are collecting fees on a day-to-day basis. The CFO expanded on that. We intend on doing that because KwaZulu-Natal, there is an increase on the issue of cash in heist. So it's something that we must deliberate on. You'll be impressed, Honorable Dex, through your chair, that majority of the project that we issue, we are given to historical disadvantaged companies. It's so unfortunately what the teacher was saying that at the end you'll find that Dex Holdings company has been awarded 250 million, but the same company want to be rescued by a company that you are referring to that you'll find on the N2 and the N3. It's something that is beyond our call because we have done our part, allocated a company that has been in some instances established at the level of department because some of them will grow exponentially within the department. Some point in day they will have 7 CE, 8 CE will then be awarded. So it's something that we'll talk about it, Chair, which is why we are not just quick in blacklisting them. We nurture them, we monitor them, and at the end, and at this point in time, which is why we're saying that we are going to invite the professional board dealing with them, EXA and CIDP, sit down and do the proper and the thorough analysis. What has been the new trend? Because even if it means that we've given you and allocated a project value of 300 million, if you'll complete that project by selling the project, we have not done you add because yes, you might grow in terms of profit and books, but you don't have that technical capacity. As for instance, we're building a bridge using the latest technology, or you're building a bridge like Spaghetti Bridge that you see around Epicleot and around Umhlanga. If you have not participated practical, the lived experience, you won't have it. Like for instance, we've got a problem of a serious rainfall because of a global warming. You'll find that you've got bridges because we were using Kaizen in the past. The bridge has suddenly shifted. Then you have to check the bridge and start that process drill and do the piling. And if you have not done that practical, you won't have that experience. So, which is why we are reporting to this portfolio committee in terms of this hearing that we are slowly and clinically dealing with these processes. But at the end of the day, we do apply transformation. This is the department that started IKULA. This is the department that started highlighting the section 217 of the Constitution when we're procuring goods. So we are trying by all means to ensure that, and we are not going to be apologetic when it comes to transformation. Blacklisting a certain company does not mean that in the next tender we are no longer going to prejudice others, but we can't give you one and the same job, yet we are not filling, then we must act. So I think we are there, Chair, and we are glad that we do have the support when it comes to that. We're not going to fail umsebenzi waqalwa umazala Nkosi, MEC Sibundebele, and other incumbents. We're just going to proceed from there. Thank you so much.
Chair, MEC, with your team, I think you've done justice. So we're going to continue. Appreciate this presentation. And as we start the year, we're going to monitor the budget, and we hope we're going to work with you closely to ensure that everything that we say we're going to be doing, we follow it through. Thank you so much. Then the meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much. We know that MEC, again, you are coming back with your team of human settlement. Thank you so much. No, thank you so much, honorable members. Can we reconvene? Again, welcome back, honorable members who are physically here. There are other honorable members also who are online. So we welcome you, honorable MEC. Once more, welcome with your team. I see you have brought in a very brand new HOT. You are welcome. It's the first time we are interacting with the HOT. Of course, we've interacted in another responsibility, but it's the first time in this response. You are most welcome. We hope we are going to work together. The main intention here is for us to see that the budget that has been allocated works and works in an appropriate manner. So really, when you come here, you must know you are coming into your partner. We're not really, something else. So when you come here, of course, we want you to account, but you must really know that we are here, the very same objectives that you have, the very same objectives that we have in ensuring services to the people of KwaZulu-Natal. You are welcome. MEC will give you to have your remarks as you wish, and then will then allow you to hand over to the HOD to present the budget. Of course, he would guide who will then do that responsibility. Over to you, Honorable MEC.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair, for affording us this opportunity. Let me thank you and greet your good self. Let me also greet the Portfolio Committee members who are dedicated, who have done a great job, the technocrats that are representing the legislature. As you've already alluded, that the team is a full complement of the EXCO led by Mr. M. Mbili. Is new in terms of this portfolio, but I think this is his third or second month. So as just adapted, he's coming from the departments, from the ranks of the departments. The CFO is here. DDG Stroke Co is also here in Makakula, who deals with projects. So they are here just to ensure that we reflect. We've done a job that National has recognized for the last 3 consecutive years. We've been allocated extra budget because our expenditure pattern has seen a tremendous growth over the last 3 to 4 years, which is something that we pride ourselves on. And when it comes to audit findings, I think there's been some improvement. We'll all agree. I will want to highlight, Honorable Chair, that since 2022 floods in particular, we've been overwhelmed, in particular at Teguini. Let me just highlight that we almost 1,062 people that are left stranded in the province of KwaZulu-Natal as a result of floods, and we had to accommodate them in different formats as these departments. Indeed, we are trying by all means, but on the same breath, we almost have 75% accumulation of informal settlements at eThekwini alone. If you can just address that, the planning of eThekwini, I think the province of KwaZulu-Natal will be okay. Lately, we have started engaging Amakosi in identifying strategic parcels because we don't have ample space or land that we could do and build, which is why we have resolved in our strat plan last year that the high-rising building are the new options that we must highlight, and building in rural areas is something that we are just going to focus. We must also hasten to say, Honorable Chair, that the issue of service delivery in the local government does affect what we do, which is why you'll see the projects stoppages like Melmod project, where you'll find that we'll build nice structure, but there are no services. Then we must start afresh and take the money that's due for another project. We then have to start the project in ensuring that we do apply services. It's the same that happened in Alfred Duma municipality. There are those projects, but both of those projects, Chair, I just have to highlight that it has been blocked Now it has been unblocked. We're on the ground. Happy. There are a lot of things happening in terms of activities. We're glad to highlight that. Other than that, Chair, it's the reality that we used to build more units. Unfortunately, because of cross-cutting measures of fiscal discipline, we don't have that privilege anymore. There is a lot of decrease, but we are still pushing. There is an always outcry. I know when we meet the portfolio committee and when we meet the finance committee on hearing on the issue of veterans, we have not done a sterling job over the last 3 years, but of lately there hasn't been an implementing agent that is able to give us more numbers. So in this year, we'll see an improvement and will improve then before one lands is the issue of title deed, which give a value add on a beneficiary when he or she gets the title deed. We don't at certain time that municipality are going to fast track the process and they appointed conveyancers, but little did we knew that they are going to think that they are a custodian of being human settlements themselves. So which is why that you'll find an antagonistic view or an activity of them trying to issue title deed without the department. It's something that is going to come to an end, and at least slowly the HOD is going to come to an end, and at least slowly the HOD has already started giving all the municipal managers. And we've already written the memo to the MEC responsible for COCTA. I think we'll improve when it comes to that. Other than that, we are the department that keeps on trying in ensuring that we safeguard and preserve what is written and contained in the Constitution of South Africa through ensuring that the shelter, everyone has got a shelter and the security. So we're still following the prescript and those principles, and I want to give the HOD, I'm sure is going to give the CFO the presentation. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable MEC. Greetings to Honorable Chairperson Babu Dlongwane, Honorable MEC, Portfolio Committee members, colleagues, I greet you all. Thank you very much for welcoming us. We want to commit that we will deliver as expected, Honorable Chairperson. What we'll do, we'll divide our presentation into two. CFO will present actual finances or numbers. Then Mr. Peng will present APP. We'll then start by CFO presenting through you, Honorable Chair, if then CFO can present.
Sorry, just before the CFO, the APP would go to your portfolio committee. Yeah, so that presentation would not take place here. So it's not mandatory that you do it in here. So you just take us through to your budget as it were, and then you would be covered. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Chairperson, the Honourable Chairperson, Honourable MEC, members of Portfolio Committee, to HOD and my colleagues. In terms of the table of contents, we followed the letter that was provided to us, and we will be doing the compliance of the budget with the national and provincial priorities, the evaluation of the 25-26 budget. We have a chapter on measurable targets and objectives and key performance measures and indicators, which we, Chairperson has suggested we do not need to present because we did present that to the Portfolio Committee last week. And then in terms of monitoring mechanisms, donor funding and major capital infrastructure. The first two slides, 1, 3 and 4, deal with the abbreviations. I will not go through those. They just for the purpose of understanding the presentation, but I will mention the titles in full just so that we all are on the same page. In terms of page 5, we're now moving on to compliance of the budget with national and provincial priorities. Move on to slide 6. In terms of departmental programs, our department has 4 programs, which is firstly, administration. The second one is housing needs research and planning. The third one is housing development, and the fourth is housing asset management. The aim and strategic objectives and outputs of these programs haven't changed, and they are the prerogative of our national human settlements to change these. We want to also bring to the attention that we fund the activities of the Housing Fund under our Program 4, and due to the need of the Housing Fund to comply with the requirements of the January